Happy New Year, ma'am.
Happy New Year, ma'am.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year, ma'am. Happy New Year, ma'am.
Happy New Year. So today is your last experiment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How was your chemistry exam? Audible?
Yes, ma'am.
How was your exam? Chemistry exam?
Good, ma'am.
Good.
Ma'am, when will the re-mid semester exams happen?
No idea right now. It will
Okay,
be
ma'am.
in this month only.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, my paper got cancelled due to some technical glitch.
Yes, already you have informed me. How many of you have faced the same problem like Subham?
Almost six, ma'am.
Oh, you are the only student who got this problem. Could
No,
not
ma'am,
Yes,
solve
ma'am.
it?
almost six people in our section have faced the same problem.
Okay then. Okay, no problem. You will appear the remit. Okay, so why some few students have not joined till now?
New Year, Monday morning.
And today students are less.
So all are enjoying New Year. मनोज सर हमें स्टार्ट कर दो मैं
हाँ मैडम
पिले किसी जॉइन कर ही ना आंटी
11
Okay, so today is your last experiment. It is verification of Beer-Lambert's law. So you know, Beer and Lambert are two different scientists. I can say that August Beer is not a chemist, even if Lambert also. So they are mathematicians and you can say physicists. Still, they have developed this law, and this law is very useful in chemistry to analyze the chemicals present in different solutions. Okay. So this is Beer-Lambert's law. So according to Beer law, the observance is proportional to the path length through the sample and the concentration of the observing species. Means like observance is directly proportional to the concentration of the observing material. Okay. So like when a light is passed through a solution in the solution which contains some observing material or observing species, then the intensity of the light will decrease. Okay. So that is studied by these two scientists, and the observance is directly proportional to the concentration, and according to Lambert, observance of a solution is directly proportional to the path length of the light. Okay, so if you combine both the laws, then the Beer-Lambert's law can be expressed as observance is equal to epsilon Cl, because you know observance is directly proportional to concentration and observance is directly proportional to the path length, that is L. Okay. So here epsilon is the proportionality constant called molar extinction coefficient. It is constant for a particular wavelength. Okay. So observance can be expressed as log I0 by I. I0 is the intensity of initial light and I is the intensity of transmitted light or the intensity observed passing through the solution, and the concentration of the solution is C, and path length of the sample holder, that is called the cuvette, that is L. So here two types of cuvettes are used, that is made up of quartz or glass. Glass can protect UV rays, and when you are using spectacles, so you should not go for branded spectacles, because any type of glass can protect your eyes from harmful UV rays. Okay, so UV light cannot pass through the glass. So if we are using a glass cuvette, then we cannot measure in the UV region. So that's why we have to use a cuvette which is made up of quartz. Okay, both is useful. You can use both like quartz cuvette and as well as the glass cuvette. With glass cuvette is the problem is that you cannot measure the wavelength in the region of 200 to 400 nanometer. But visible region you can use very nicely. But in case of quartz cuvette, you can use the total 200 to 800 nanometer, that is UV as well as the visible range. So this is the procedure how we will verify this law. So that will explain that will be explained by sir, and how you will prepare the solution. And I just wanted to say you here that the solution should be dilute, means 10 to the power minus 4 molar concentration. Okay, and we will use this solution, and we will use a spectrophotometer. Spectrophotometer means like it will use a light, okay, and it will pass through the matter that which one you want to analyze, and then after passing through the matter it will give you some information in the top in the form of spectra or something. That is your spectrophotometer. Okay, so you will record the observance value for each of the solution by using the UV visible spectrophotometer. Okay, so then we'll plot a graph by taking observance in the y-axis and concentration of the solution in the x-axis. And here we'll take the lambda value is constant here, 225 nanometer of the observance of manganese chloride, I think Mn, what is that, KMnO4, sorry. Potassium permanganate 525, sorry, it is 525, it is in visible region because you can see the color of the solution, it is purple or pink you can say. So that's why we'll fix the lambda value constant, that is 525 nanometer, and we'll just change the concentration and we'll record the observance. So we'll plot, if we plot the graph, you'll get a graph like this, and in the meantime, we'll also take the observance of the unknown solution with unknown solution with different concentration, means whose concentration is not known. Okay, so by using Beer-Lambert's law, we can also determine the concentration of unknown solution, and that we will determine here. Okay, so by plotting the plotting this graph, we'll know the concentration of unknown solution. Okay, so here 10 to the power minus 3 molar stock solution you will prepare. From that you will dilute the solution in the range of 10 to the power minus 4 in different concentration range, and then you will determine the observance value by using this UV visible spectrophotometer. As I already told you, a source of light, here it is UV and visible source, and that will pass through. It should be monochromatic, you know, monochromatic. It should be single wavelength light, and then it will pass through the sample, and there is a light detector, and it will detect, and it will convert to a readable data, and it will determine the from the here there is a window, we can determine the observance of the solution. Okay, this is called, the sample holder is called cuvette. The spelling you should remember, you should not do the mistake here. And here we take the sample and we'll put here in the box type cell. There we'll put, and we'll just close the lid, and we'll determine the observance by operating the spectrophotometer. There is a standard operating procedure, how to switch on and switch up, and in the meantime how to set the things. Okay, then like this you will get some value, concentration versus observance. Then if you plot the graph, then you should get a straight line. Few of the points may not come on the straight line, so still you will draw the base fitted straight line, and if it is following that, you will you can say that this is it is following the Beer-Lambert's law. And you know observance is equal to epsilon CL. From that C can be calculated. Okay, so how you will calculate? After plotting the graph, then if it is following a straight line equation, then y is equal to mx plus c is equal to 0. Since no intercept is found, sometimes you will also get the instrument, due to the instrumental error, you will get an intercept that you have to deduct with from the observance, and a minus c by m or y by m will give you the concentration of unknown solution, and y is nothing but the observance value we are putting here. So the a value you will get from the y axis, and m is the slope, so x can be calculated. So here in the present day application of Beer-Lambert's law is to determine the concentration of an unknown solution for quantitative analysis. Okay, and it is, the limitation is, as I already told, the solution should be dilute, it should be in the range of 10 to the power minus 4, and then also monochromatic light is required, and this will not be followed. This law is not applicable when there is association or complex formation between the solvent and the solute. Means like if you are taking KMnO4 and if you are taking in aqueous solution, means like you are dissolving in water and you will taking the checking the UV visible spectra, then it is fine. But if you are taking some of the metal solution, like maybe it is manganese, maybe it is nickel, but you are taking in pyridine solution, okay, then pyridine will act as a ligand and it will bind with the metal. So there is a association or complex formation between the solvent and your sample. Okay, here it will not give you the data, like exact data, and it is not applicable at that place. Okay, and when this is very concentrated, the solution is concentrated, then also it will not follow and you will not get any peak in the visible spectrophotometer. Okay, so this is from my side. Okay, this is all about your like this experiment number 10, verification of Beer-Lambert's law. If you have any doubt or any queries, then you can discuss with me. Could you understand or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You told about cuvette.
Yes. Cuvette is the sample holder where we will put the sample, like in the instrument, there is a place where we have to put the sample so that the lights will pass through that solution. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
There's some
directly,
specification to it that it is made up of quartz.
yes, it is both we can use quartz and glass. In your case, glass will also work because it is 525. It is in the visible region, so we can use glass. Because even if when I was working in for my PhD and the MSc students, we are giving training to the MSc students and BTech students, we have never given them the quartz cuvette because it is costly, and if it will break, then we have to pay much. So glass one is easy to buy and it is cheaper. Okay, so online also we can buy. So we are giving glass cuvette, but here I think in our institute we are giving quartz. So both will work. But in case of quartz, you can use from 200 to 800 or 1100. But in case of visible like glass cuvette, you cannot measure in the UV region. Okay, Pranav?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you are going to buy spectacles, don't buy the costly one. So if they are saying that it will protect from UV rays.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What is the reason that that light can't be visible in glass? UV light.
Glass is made up of silica, SiO2, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is the light, it is not transparent to that one, the UV light. Means the wavelength and the material, the chemical structure, so that is somehow it is not able to pass through that.
Okay.
So this with my limited knowledge, that can I say.
Okay, ma'am.
So any more things to discuss? Okay, so if there is no more questions, then I'll request my colleague to discuss about the procedure part. Okay, sir, please.
Okay, so once again, good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. This is your last experiment, experiment number 10, verification of Beer-Lambert's law. There are two parts of this experiment. First, we have to verify the Beer-Lambert's law. Then, by using the Beer-Lambert's law, we are going to determine the concentrations of different samples. As far as my knowledge goes, I have told you in the very first class that till now when we have carried out different types of titration, by carrying out the titration, we can determine the concentration of one solution. But in the practical field, when you are going to determine the concentration of a given compound in thousands of samples, suppose you have thousands of samples with you, and you are going to determine what is the amount of ferrous or how much ferrous ion is present in those samples. So if you do the titration to determine the concentration, you have to do thousands of titration and it will take much time. But by using Beer-Lambert's law, you will be able to determine the concentration of thousands of samples within an hour, within 1 hour. It is very easier when you are going to determine the concentration of a given compound or a given ion in more number of samples. So let us see how to carry out this experiment. As you know, let us share the experiment so that you can know. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so see, in this experiment, what we are going to do, we are going to prepare different concentration solution of a given compound. And as you know, that what we are going to do, we will prepare different concentration solution of a given compound. As you know that in this experiment, when you have to verify the law, what you are going to do? You are going to verify that absorbance of a given solution is directly proportional to the concentration of the solution. So if you take the example, suppose you have taken any solution in a given beaker, and when you are passing a monochromatic light to one side of the beaker, the light will pass through the solution and then it will be transmitted. So definitely the intensity of the transmitted ray will be more or will be less than the intensity of the incident ray. When you are passing a monochromatic light, monochromatic means single wavelength light, through one solution, through a solution kept in a beaker, the intensity of the incident ray will be more or will be less than your transmitted ray. Which one will be more? Are you getting to my question?
Incident will be more.
Definitely, intensity of the incident ray will be more than the intensity of the transmitted ray. So what happens when the light is passing through the solution, some intensity of light is observed by the molecules present in that solution, and then it will be transmitted. So we are going to measure that observance, and this observance will depend upon many factors. It will not depend only on the concentration of the solution. It will depend upon many factors. Number one, it will depend on the concentration of the solution you are telling, right? Again, it will also depend on the path length, through which the light will travel through the solution. If you are taking the solution in a narrow beaker, so whatever the intensity of the transmitted ray, if you take the solution in a wide beaker, the transmitted ray will be different from that one. So it will depend on the path length through which the light will pass through the solution. So it depends on the concentration, it depends on the path length, it also depends on the material of the container, because you are going to take the solution in a particular container. So it also depends on the material of the container. So to verify this law, what we are going to do, we are preparing different concentration solution of a given compound. That means you choose any compound and you have to prepare different concentration solution of that compound. Suppose we have chosen that we are going to prepare different concentration solution of potassium permanganate. So by calculation we can prepare different concentration solution of KMnO4. So that means concentration is known to us because we have prepared the solution. And after that one, what we are going to do, we will measure their observance by using the spectrophotometer. So concentration is known to us. Observance will determine by using the spectrophotometer. And then what we are going to do, we are going to plot a graph, concentration versus observance. So we will plot different points on the graph paper and we have to see whether all the points are on the same track line or not. If all the points are on the same track line, and when you are going to extend the track line, if it passes through the origin, then concentration will be directly proportional to the observance of the solution. So we are going to do that one. This is the first part of the experiment. So let us see how to do that one. So we are going to prepare different concentration solution of KMnO4. 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4, 1.0 into 10 to the power minus 4, 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity, 2.0 into 10 to the power minus 4, then 2.5, then 3.0, all are in 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. We are using very, very diluted solution because this law is valid when the solutions are diluted. If you take the solution in concentrated form, this law is not valid because there will be association of molecules. So let us see. You see what are the glassware required for this experiment? We require simply a measuring flask, or you can say volumetric flask, and we are using 10 ml measuring flask. Okay, so we are going to take 6 different 10 ml measuring flasks. And to measure the observance of the solution, you require a very few ml, 3 to 4 ml is sufficient to measure the observance of a solution. So what we are going to do, you see, in this case, if you prepare, suppose you see, you consider the first one. The number one sample which you are going to prepare, its concentration is 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. and you are going to prepare 10 ml solution. Actually, 10 ml solution will not be required to measure the absorbance. You require only 3 to 4 ml. 3 to 4 ml solution is sufficient to measure the absorbance of a solution. We are preparing 10 ml because another 1 to 2 ml we utilize to reach the cuvette. So that is why we are going to prepare 10 ml solution of each one. And to prepare 10 ml solution, whose concentration is 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity, we require only a very few milligrams of potassium permanganate. So we will take a very few milligrams. You may require 0.1 and 0.001 to 8 milligram of potassium permanganate. So it will be difficult to measure and to prepare the solution. So that is what we are going to do. We are giving you a solution of 10 to the power minus 3 molarity. We will give you a solution of 10 to the power minus 3 molar KMnO4 solution. So by using that 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution, because if you see all the solution 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the solutions are of 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. The solution, the KMnO4 solution which is given to you is of 10 to the power minus 3 molarity. So which solution is more concentrated? If you compare all the solutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have told you 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution, which is more concentrated?
First one.
That means 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution. Because you see, by taking a concentrated solution, you can prepare thousands of different concentration solutions, thousands of different diluted solutions. But by taking diluted solution, you will not be able to prepare a concentrated one. So the 10 to the power minus 3, 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution, which is being given to you, will be used as a stock solution, STOCK. That is your stock solution. By using the stock, you are going to prepare all the 6 number of solutions. So how we prepare, I will tell you. You just see what we are going to do. This is a 10 ml measuring flask, or you can say 10 ml volumetric flask. You have already seen a 100 ml measuring flask in experiment number 6, kinetics of ester hydrolysis. This is a 10 ml measuring flask. You can see there is a marking. When you will take the solution up to this mark, lower meniscus is up to this mark, the volume is 10 ml. So we are taking 6 10 ml measuring flask. You can see clearly the marking. And each one we are going to prepare 10 ml. Okay, 6 different samples. This is your spectrophotometer, and it is a visible spectrophotometer which can measure the absorbance from 380 to 760 nanometer. Visible range is 380 nanometer to 760 nanometer. This one is the cuvette. And this cuvette the two opposite transparent surface and two opposite translucent surface. So this is your stock solution. This is your stock solution. This solution has a concentration of 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molarity. 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molarity. So by using this stock solution, you have to prepare all these 6 different concentration solutions. So we'll just discuss the first one, how to calculate. How much of the stock solution I will take so that I can prepare 10 ml of 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molar solution. Can you calculate and tell me? You just calculate and tell me. I have to prepare 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molar solution. Volume कितना बनाओगे? 10 ml. By using 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar. You have to calculate how much of this stock solution, that is 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution, I will take so that I can prepare that solution. Can you calculate? By using the simple formula, N1V1 is equal to N2. N1 is given 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. V1 is given, that is 10 ml. N2 is given 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar. You have to calculate what is V2. Can you calculate? You calculate what will be V2 value. Calculate and tell me how much of the stock solution I will take so that I can prepare 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molar 10 ml.
Zero point 005 ml.
No, again you see. Again you calculate.
0.5.
0.5.
Yes,
0.5.
0.5, sir.
yes. I have to take 0.5 ml potassium permanent solution. That is 0.5 stock solution. So how I will take? I will take 0.5 ml by using the 0. So I will take 0.5 ml stock solution by using a 0. In the measuring flask, in the 10 ml measuring flask, I will take 0.5 ml stock solution. Then I will add distilled water to that one. I will add water and make the total volume to 10 ml. And when the total volume will be 10 ml, the concentration of that solution will be 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 mole. Are you getting? Are you getting or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Suppose the same stock solution is used. You have to prepare 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 5. कैसे बनाऊंगा? Can you tell? You have the same stock solution, 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution. You have to prepare 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 5 molar solution. So what you have to do? Simply you take a 100 ml measuring flask. Here you are taking 10 ml measuring flask. You will take a 100 ml measuring flask. In the 100 ml measuring flask, you will take 0.5 ml KMnO4 solution from the top. By adding distilled water, make up the volume to 100. The concentration of that solution will be 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 5. So very easy way, once you know what is N1, what is V1 and what is N2, you can calculate what will be the volume. So see, we are taking a 25 ml burette, accuracy will be more, small burette. So first we will take a few ml from the stock solution and we will range the burette. So first regular procedure, you have to wash the burette with the distilled water, then you have to rinse the burette with the cane solution, and after rinsing the burette with the cane solution, you have to throw it out, discard the solution, and after discarding the solution, again you have to fill the burette with cane. So see, first you have to wash the burette. And after washing the burette, you have to rinse it with the stock cane solution. This solution is 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 molar solution. So rinse the burette and throw it out. Now again fill the burette with the camphor solution. Remove the air gas and adjust the burette reading to any whole number. Okay, so air gas is removed. And adjust the burette reading to any whole number so that it will be easy to take 0.5 ml. So you can see there are 6 measuring flasks and you choose any one as your number 1 measuring flask. Okay, this one. This is your number 1 measuring flask. You choose any one. It is not that it is numbered. You choose any one. You take any one as your number 1 measuring flask. Wash the measuring flask thoroughly. After that one, you have to take 0.5 ml potassium permanent solution from the burette. So you see, we are taking. After it's already washed, You take exactly 0.5 ml. Okay, 0.5 ml of solution was taken. Then by adding distilled water, you make up the total volume up to the mark. So by adding water, the volume was made up to the mark. Now we mix the solution. And when you are mixing the solution, the concentration of this solution is 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 molar. Okay, so that is you have prepared the number 1 sample. Now number 2. So in the number 2, you see what is the concentration? You have to prepare 1 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity solution. So can you tell me how much salt solution you have to take? From the burette, how much solution you will take? How much salt solution you will take?
1.0 ml.
Yes, you have to take 1.0 ml. So 1 ml KMnO4 solution you will take from the burette. By adding distilled water, make up the volume to 10. The concentration will be 1 into 10 to the power minus 4 molar. So what you will do now, in the burette, we have started from 0. Now the burette reading is 0.5. So you make it adjusted to another whole number so that it will be easy to take one. Every time before taking the solution, always you adjust the burette reading to any whole number, then you take your required value. So that if there is any error in the previous one, that error will not be carried to your second sample. So every time you adjust your burette reading, then you take the required value. So see, the measuring flask is washed. And now the train is adjusted to a whole number. Then we have to take 1 ml. And say procedure, add distilled water, make up the volume to 10. Next one. So sample 2 is prepared, 1.0 into 10 to the power minus 4 is prepared. Now we have to prepare the number 3rd. How much KMnO4 solution I have to take for sample 3?
1.5.
1%. So as the stock solution which is given to you, the concentration is 1 to 10 to the power minus 3. So you do not have to calculate. It is very easy way. So you have to take 1.5 stock solution from the burette by adding distilled water, make up the holding to 10. So 1.5 ml chemical solution was taken. Then by adding distilled water, you have to make up the volume. Make the solution. Number third was prepared. So this is 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 4. Similarly, now we are going to prepare the fourth one. 2 into 10 to the power minus 4. So we have to work the measuring flask, then we have to check the burette, whether the burette reading is a whole number or not, otherwise we have to adjust. And once we adjust to a whole number, then we will take it. So take out 2 ml of stock solution. Now by adding distilled water, make the volume to 10. This is your fourth sample, 2 into 10 to the power minus 4 molar. Now the next one is 2.5. So we have to take 2.5 ml solution from the burette. We are starting from 6, that means we have to take up to 8.5. Add water. Now the last one. to take here. So if you prepare more number of samples, more number of points you will get on your graph paper. So minimum 5 to 6 samples you have to prepare. So now it is 8.5, make the observed reading, adjusted to full number, 9. Okay, then you have to take 3 ml. So from 9 you have to take up to 12. ठीक है ना? Now to the 3 ml solution, you have to what? Distill water, make the volume to 10. Okay, so now we have prepared all the 6 number of samples, and now we are going to measure their observance. How we measure their observance? So from this one, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have given in a series. So sample preparation is also. Now you see the spectrum potentiometer. We are going to measure observance of all these 6 different samples. So we have to measure their observance at a particular wavelength, that is at 525 nanometers. So can you tell me why we are measuring the observance at 525 nanometers? Why you are not measuring the observance at 400 nanometers? Why you are choosing 525 nanometers? Can anybody tell? Why we are choosing 525 nanometer? Because 525 nanometer is the lambda max value. That means it is the wavelength at which potassium permanent observes the maximum intensity of light. And this lambda max value is determined experimentally. Experimental means what you have to do to determine the lambda max value. You have to take potassium permanent solution, measure the observance at different wavelengths. Different wavelength means have to check what is the observance at 380, then at 390, then 400, 410, 420, 430. So like that way you go on measuring. And after measuring the observance, you plot the points on your graph paper, wavelength versus observance. And after plotting the points, then all points. And you will be able to find a peak point at a particular wavelength. So at which wavelength you are getting a peak point in the observance, that is the lambda max value for that compound. So experimentally it is verified that 525 nanometer is the lambda max value for potassium permanent. So that is the reason we are going to measure the observance of KMnO4 at 525 nanometer. So see, so like your pH meter, conductivity meter, in this case also, you have to calibrate the instrument. You have to calibrate the spectrophotometer. So this is the power switch, make it on. And the wavelength, but this is the wavelength you are getting, this is 526, you have to adjust it to 525 by using this knob. This is the wavelength regulating knob. By rotating this knob, you can adjust, you can change the wavelength. Okay, make it changed. Okay, now the wavelength is set to 525 nanometer. After this one, what you have to see, if you check the knobs, this is the reference one, this is the mode, this one is the percentage of transmission, this is observance, this is concentration, key, how to operate this one. So first of all, what you have to do, you have to change the mode. So press the mode now. This one you have to press so that the light will come to observance mode. Because you are going to measure the observance of the sample. So when you are pressing, the light will switch. It changes to different modes. We have to keep it in the observance mode. Okay. Now what you have to do, after changing it to observance mode, you have to press the reference. You have to again see whether the wavelength is the right one or not. Always you have to see that. Now you have to press the reference one. You see. This is a chamber where you have to keep your sample. You can see, this is a chamber, you have to keep your cuvette in this chamber. But there are different filter selection. In which wavelength you are going to measure, accordingly you have to set your filter. When the wavelength you are choosing 340 to 385, you have to set the filter at 2 position, 385 to 630, you have to set the filter at 4, and more than 630, you have to set your filter at 6. So you can see the filter number. That means that when the light will pass, it will pass through the filter, then it will go to your sample. Okay, different number is there. Right. You can mark. You can mark at this point 1, 3 and 5, there are dark marking. But you will not find at a 2, 4, 6, there is no dark marking. So what happens actually, when you are keeping the filter at 1, 3 or 5 position, here the source of light is here. and the light is passing in this direction. And the light is passing through a small hole, through a slit, SLIT, through a very small hole. And when you are keeping the filter at 1, 3 or 5 position, that light slit, SLIT, that light slit or the small hole will be blocked, will be closed, so that the light will not pass to your sample. The light source will be obstructed by the filter at this position, 1, 3 and 5. That is why it is written as a dark. So you see what we are going to do. At the very beginning, you have to set your filter at any position, 1, 3 or 5. Because at the dark position, first you have to calibrate without passing a light. So now you see, you have to press the reference. And when you are pressing the reference, it will be written as 0, Z-E-R-O. And when it will be written as 0, you have to keep your filter at 1, 3 or 5. You have to set your filter at 1, 3 or 5. You have seen that at 0 or dark, you have to keep your filter at 1 or 3 or 5. After that one, you have to press the filter. Again, you will check. First, we will keep the filter at 3 position. Press the reference. It is 0. And the filter is already at 3. So now again you have to press the reference. Again, press the reference. It will be written as calibration, CAL. That means it will calibrate without the passage of light. And it will be written as the reference, REF. That means now you have to keep the reference solution in the cuvette chamber. So which one be the reference solution? Reference solution is always the solvent by using which one you have prepared the solution. So this KMnO4 solution is prepared by using distilled water. So distilled water is the reference solution for you. The solvent which one you have used to prepare the solution, that will be treated as the reference. So this is the cuvette. In the cuvette I have to take distilled water. And always you have to touch the cuvette from the translucent side. Never touch the transparent side, because through the transparent side the light will pass. And you have to take minimum 50% of the cuvette. 50%, the total volume capacity of the cuvette, suppose is 4 ml, minimum you have to take 2 ml in the cuvette. If you will take 50% in the cuvette, whatever your observance will be there, if you will take 60%, the observance will be same, because the path length is same. Your observance is not going to be changed if you change the volume in the cuvette. because the path length is the same one. So after taking distilled water, we have to clear the transparent side through which the light will pass. And now you keep the cuvette in the chamber in such a manner that the transparent side will face to the filter. Where the light is passing in that direction. Okay. Now you have to change the filter because you are going to measure the absorbance at 525 nanometer. The filter is free. Now the slit is blocked. No light is passing through it. You have to change the filter to which position? Because we have kept the wavelength to 525. So if you check the filter selection, when the wavelength is 385 to 630, you have to keep the filter at 4 position. And 525 comes under this range. So you have to keep your filter at position 4. You see? Okay, now the filter is changed to position 4. So now you close the chamber and press the reference again. So it will calibrate and see what you are getting. What you are getting? You are getting 0. That means the absorbance of distilled water is 0. In a real sense, the absorbance of distilled water is not 0. The instrument is calibrating. The instrument is calibrating and taking the water as 0 absorbance. So that when you will measure the absorbance of the solution, KMnO4 solution, the absorbance due to water will be cancelled. And whatever absorbance you are going to get, it will be due to only potassium permanganate. That is why we have taken distilled water as the reference water. Okay. So once it is calibrated, you do not have to operate anymore. You have to measure the absorbance. So what you have to do? After calibration, you will throw out the distilled water from the cuvette and you will rinse the cuvette with that sample. Which one you want to measure the, by taking which one you are going to measure the absorbance. So now we are going to measure the absorbance of sample 1. So we will take a few ml solution from sample 1, bottle number 1, rinse it, then take a few ml solution in the cuvette, make it clear with a tissue paper, and keep it there in the same manner. Just close the chamber. You do not have to change the filter or anything. Now you see what is happening. The absorbance is 0.113 or whatever. You may write 0.110 or 0.113, whatever it is. Because in your graph it will not change anything. Okay, it is written as 0.113. Okay. Now, in the same manner for sample 2, what you have to do? You have to throw out the sample 1 from the cuvette, rinse the cuvette with sample 2 and take a few ml from sample 2 and keep it in the cuvette sample. You see? Take a few ml. Once the instrument is calibrated, you do not have to write it now. Simply take that solution, keep it in the QFit chamber, and record the other one. What you are getting, you see. If you will keep the QFit in the opposite order means if the translucent side we face to your filter, you will get more of the pass. Because the light will not be passed to the translucent side. So number 2, what is the response? 0.231, 0.231. Now it is sample 3. The other one is 0.361. Now the fourth one. The other one is 0.466. The other one is 0.466. And the fifth one, is 0.576. Sixth one, is 0.693. So that means concentration is known, other ones you have determined. By taking this data, you have to plot the graph. So this is the demonstration observation table. I will share another data. But taking which one you have to draw the graph. Once this data is available, you have to plot the graph, and from there you have to draw the calibration graph. That means you have to draw the straight line. And how you, this is the first part of the experiment. And after plotting the points, you have to see whether you are getting a straight line or not. Then how you can measure the absorbance of potassium permanent solution, which you have not prepared. you want to measure what is the concentration of K- solution. So if anybody will give you a solution of K- solution, how you can measure the concentration now? So what you have to do, you will take that solution and you will measure the absorbance. Once absorbance is known to you, how you can find the concentration. So we will see that one in the second part of the experiment. So I'll stop it here. I'll share the data of observation table. Can you see? You check your roll number and accordingly you note down the data. Are you able to see the observation table now?
Yes, sir.
So this is the observation table, roll number 766 to 808. So you write down the data and I will tell you how to plot the graph. And इसका observance निकालो. How you will measure the observance? How you will find out the concentration? First you note down the observation table. Okay, super. Yes, can
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So by mistake I wrote the procedure also. So is it fine if I do it like that?
If you have written it is all right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So all of you have written observation table.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll stop the sharing. Now how you have to plot the graph? You check it very carefully how to plot the graph. So by taking the data, you can see that you have two tables. In one table, both concentration and absorbance, both are given. So by using that table, you have to plot the graph. So in the x-axis, if you have your graph with you, simultaneously you can draw the line, draw the axis. In the x-axis, what you have to take the scale. In the x-axis, you have to take 4 big division. 4 big division is equal to 1 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. In the x-axis, you are going to take the concentration of KMnO4 solution. In the x-axis, you have to take concentration of potassium permanent solution. The scale is 4 cm, 4 big division is equal to 1 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. So while you are plotting the graph, what you will do? In the x-axis, you will first write the origin, then origin say 4 division, you leave, write simply 1. Then another 4 division, simply write 2. Then leave another 4 division, leave, write simply 3. Then another 4 division, simply write 4. And to the base, you write concentration in 10 to the power minus 4 molar. At each place, don't write 1 into 10 to the power minus 4, 2 into 10 to the power minus 4, 3 into 10 to the power minus 4. Don't write like this. In every 4 division, you write 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you will write concentration in 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. Are you getting?
Sir, could you repeat once?
In the x-axis, the scale is 4 centimeter or 4 big division is equal to 1 into 10 to the power minus 4 molarity. So when you are writing in the x-axis, every 4 division, you write 1, origin say 4 division 1, then another 4 division 2, then another 4 division 3, then another 4 division write 4. And to its base, you write concentration in 10 to the power minus 4. So that it will be understood. 1 likha hua means 1 into 10 to the power minus 4. Are you getting?
Yes, sir. Sir, we have to write concentration in 10 to the power minus 4 molarity.
Yes. In the y-axis, you have to take the observance. Observance is the unit S because it is the ratio of 2 intensity of light. There is no unit of observance. In the y-axis, you have to take 2 cm. 2 cm, that means 20 small division is equal to 0.1. 20 small division is equal to 0.1. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
This will be your scale in the x and y axis. So what you have to do, you have to plot the points in your graph paper. Concentration is given, observance is also given. You have to plot the points. I have told you how to plot the points, make a very fine dot, and around that point make a small circle. So each point you have to plot. After plotting the points, you see whether all the points are in the same straight line or not. And if all the points are on the same straight line, you extend the straight line so that you check whether it passes through the origin or not. If it is passes through the origin, it is all right. If it does not pass through the origin, there must be a y intercept. So you draw the straight line and check. After that one, how you will find out the concentration of the samples whose observance you have measured. So what you have to do after drawing the straight line, you have to find out the slope. I'll share one thing. Yeah. It is not given. Okay, so you see, after drawing the straight line, you have to find out the slope. You will not do in this method. It is given in this way. You do not have to find out the concentration in this manner. What you have to do, you will draw the straight line. And after drawing the straight line, at any two positions in the straight line, you have to find out the slope. And remember one thing, that while you are calculating the slope, you will not consider the points which are on your observation table. I have told you the same thing in kinetics of statistics. The points which are already existed on your observation table, you will not consider those points for the slope. You will choose any other arbitrary point from the straight line and find out the slope. And the slope must be calculated on the graph paper. You have to write y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. You calculate what is the slope of that straight line. And once straight line is known, you calculate the slope and you will be able to find out the slope. And once you are able to know the slope, what is the formula of straight line? Straight line formula is y is equal to mx plus c. Y is equal to mx plus c. So what will be mx? Mx is equal to y minus c. And x is equal to y minus c divided by n. Here x is your concentration, y is your observance, c is your y-intercept. If the line is passing through the origin, then c is 0. If the line is passing through the origin, the value of c is 0. And n is slope. So that means if the straight line is passing through the origin, how you will be able to find the concentration? What you have to do? You have to just divide
y by m.
Yes, that means observance divided by the slope. So once observance you have determined and slope is constant, if you are finding out the concentration of the same KMNO4. So for KMNO4 the slope is constant. And once slope is known to you, you can find out the concentration of thousands of samples, thousands of KMNO4 solutions. You just measure the observance, and once observance is known to you, you divide it with the slope. Slope value is constant. So that means what you have to do, when you have thousands sample of KMNO4, what you will do? You will prepare 5 to 6 different concentration KMNO4 solutions, measure its observance, plot a graph, draw the straight line, and find out the slope of that straight line. And once slope is known to you, you just divide and the observance with the slope. So thousands of sample with you, you just measure their observance. लिख दो sample 1 का observance इतना है, sample 2 का observance इतना है, and divide it by the slope. Get the concentration. If there is any y-intercept, so what you have to do? Before dividing observance से y-intercept को minus कर दो, then divide it with the slope and find out the concentration. So when you have large number of samples, more than one sample you have, you can find out in this way by doing the calculation. If you have one or two sample with you, you can directly find out from the graph. Yes, because the y component is known to you, that means observance is known to you. So what will be the corresponding x component? You can find out directly from the graph. But in this experiment, you do not have to find the value of concentration from the graph. You have to find out the value of concentration by doing the calculation. That means slope निकालोगी. After finding the slope, divide the observance with the slope and find out the concentration of the individual one. And write down that one in the observation table. Second observation table. In the conclusion, you will write the Beer-Lambert's law is verified from the graph, because after plotting all the points on the graph paper, all the points are remaining on the same straight line, and when the straight line was extended, it passed to the origin. So Beer-Lambert's law is verified. That means observance is directly proportional to the concentration. Okay. So if there is any doubt from your side, you can tell me.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, the demonstration, the observation table that you showed,
Yes.
in that for the second observation table, the absorbance was already given.
Yes.
So
Observance
copied
is
it like that.
Yes, yes. You tell.
So I've copied it, whatever it was given in the observation, whatever you shared in the screen. But then the absorbance is different from the one in the observation table 1.
Let me share.
Sir, can you please share this table?
Yes, yes, yes. I'll share. Yes.
So I'm roll number 840. So for the
840 means this one, red color. Yes.
yes, sir. So for the second table, the first sample shows 0.253, correct?
Yes, yes.
And in the first table, it shows 0.163.
Yes. No, you are not able to understand again. You see.
Yes, sir. That's the confusion.
You see. ये जो first table में concentration is given, observance I have determined, and you will plot the graph by taking this data. X-axis में concentration ले जाओगी, Y-axis में observance ले जाओगी. You plot the points on the graph paper, draw the straight line. Okay. This, and after drawing the straight line, you find out the slope of the straight line from the graph. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Observation table 1 part is. Then you have to find out the concentration of this sample. ये जो sample है, इसका observance is given. You have not, ये जो table 1 का samples you have prepared. You have prepared this. But these are the samples you have not prepared. These samples are given to you, and it is being asked to you. What is its concentration? So how you will determine its concentration? What you will do? You will measure the observance, because तुम्हारे पास तो spectrophotometer है. So what you will do? You will measure the observance, and you notice that the sample 1 का observance इतना आया, sample 2 का इतना आया, sample 3 का इतना आया. And your job is you find out what is the concentration of this one. Are you getting?
No, sir. Once again,
But
please.
there are only 3 samples in the second table.
देखो. These solutions
We have to calculate using that y equals to mx plus c formula, right?
Yes, you see.
Okay,
These
acha.
table 1 sample you have prepared and you have measured the observance. Concentration you have prepared, measure their observance. ये जो table 2 में you are not prepared. Someone has given you the solution. Someone has given you potassium permanganate solution. 3 different samples of KMnO4 he has given you. You take this KMnO4 solution and tell me what is the concentration. So how you will be able to know what is the concentration of that sample? You have not prepared. Someone has given it. You take these 3 KMnO4 sample and tell me what is the concentration. So what you will do? How you will measure its concentration? You have the spectrophotometer. So first you measure their observance. जो 3 sample, which one is given to you by another one, you measure their observance. because you are the spectrophotometer. You measure the observance. So once observance is known to you, you have no recorded in the observation table. Then you have to calculate the concentration. How to calculate? Because in the first observation table, you have determined the slope from the graph. And once slope is known to you and you have seen that straight line which you have drawn is passing through the origin, if it passes through the origin, then what you have to do? Simply ये जो observance मिला, you divide the observance with the slope. इस slope को observance में divide कर दो. You will get
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you,
So
sir.
in the calculation part, you will calculate. You will write
Okay, sir.
sample 1 का observance इतना है. So what will be the concentration? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Take
Thank you,
three
sir.
observation or 5?
Yes, yes.
3 observation or 5 observation? Second observation table.
Second observation table, 3 samples has been given to you to measure the concentration. 3, 1, 2, 3.
Excuse me, sir.
If you listen, if thousands of samples will be given to you, you simply do the same thing. So for your practice, I have given you 3 samples. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, any doubt?
Yes, sir. Sir, for the demonstration table, there will be only one demonstration observation table.
Yes, you write only one observation table because you do not have to find the calculation of the unknown one. So I have not given that one. Only
Okay.
one table is sufficient.
So it means there is total 3 tables, 1 demonstration, 2 observation.
One demonstration observation table, and because you do not have to plot the graph by taking the data from the demonstration observation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as you are going to plot the graph by taking this data, that is why I have given the second one to find out the concentration. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
And
Sir, can you
yes, you can.
sir, can you repeat the scale for y-axis?
Y-axis 2 cm is equal to 0.1.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So each small division कितना होगा बोलोगे? 2 cm is equal to 0.1. Each small division का value कितना होगा? What
So,
is the value?
0.1 by 20.
कितना होगा?
0.005.
0.005. Is that right?